if they do, they come back over the top of you and you don't feel like you've got a strong enough hand, get out of there. But, I just don't recommend a lot of calls and a lot of checks. It's a weak play, and you're not going to win a lot in this game if you play that way. Now, I tend to take a little more risk than some, as you've probably seen, and sometimes it works out in my favor, sometimes it doesn't, but it's all based on my X factor and how much I have in order to risk at that particular point in time. And, if you keep an eye on your X factor and you're smart with how much of your X that you spend or you're willing to put into the pot at any point in time, you'll be surprised at how much it'll help you, because instead of gambling with your whole stack, which is what a lot of people do, you gamble with a portion of it, and you pretty much, kind of draw the line right there and say, if I've got right now 5,000 in chips, I'm not willing to gamble with more than about 1,000, maybe 2,000 in a really rare circumstance where I've got a pretty good hand. But there's no reason for me to be gambling when I'm in a chip leadership position like right now. I just need to wait, be patient, don't risk too many chips, ride it out, let these guys knock each other out and get sick. Now you see Joe Black here is down to 930. These folks are going to sit there and pound away at each other throughout this middle game, and I'm in a really good position because of a number of bets and risks I took earlier in the game that panned out for me. So this is a great position to be in the middle game. Now what we're going to do is analyze some of the other players play who are not in such a good, strong chip position. So you can see here, you've got one caller and just raised really 3 times, or bet. So I've got 3 times the pot in there. I didn't make anything on the flop, but look at this. I'm going to act like I did. So I bet on the flop, or pre-flop rather. Now I'm betting again on the flop, an even bigger bet, indicating that I really like that flop. Even though I was bluffing, I had 2 overcards as sort of a semi-bluff, but it wasn't a very strong position, but they had no way of knowing that, and I just represented strength. And because my table image right now is the chip leader, and having knocked several people out, in fact, I think I've knocked three of them out so far, it's very strong. Now look at this. I've got ace-king. I'm not going to play it really strong. Well, 200's 4 times the blind. I guess that's reasonably strong. It's a big bet. And I've got a strong table image. Unless somebody's got a really strong hand, they're probably all just going to fold to me. So, it's fine. I would rather have that and just take the blinds down than have somebody suck out on me because I didn't bet it. Okay, I'm going to bet it a little bit differently. I don't like to bet the same hand the same way every time. I'll bet a little bit different amount, even if I've got the same kind of hand like ace-king, just because I don't want people getting a read on my hand strength based on my bets. So I'll vary that quite a bit. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen here. I'm in the big blind. Got a 2-7. So we got a community pot. Hey, I'm getting pretty good pot odds here now. I'm just going to go ahead and see what happens. I got nothing, so let's see what's going to happen here. All right. I'm just going to check. 4 players. Weakness, weakness. Look at this. I got a 2. I got the low pair on the board. All right, everybody's showing weak. I'm going to show strength and go, even though it's on a 2. Watch this. Let's see what these guys, I guess with my table image combined with showing strength, I mean, that was pretty amazing, but I took that pot down easily. You just have to bet sometimes in order to win, especially if you've got a table image of being relatively solid and tight, and aggressive when you do come in with a hand. And so far, they've never seen me bluff. They've never caught me in a bluff. That's the other thing you want to keep track of. When you do bluff, if they catch you, then a lot of times they'll start coming back at you later when you bluff. And so what I like to do when in bluffing is the following. If I'm bluffing and getting away with it, I'll keep bluffing and getting away with it as long as they let me. Okay? When they start giving me a lot more action and start coming back at me, it probably means they're on to me and I've been bluffing too much. They're starting to get on to me. Now they're giving me some action. So now what I'll do is I'll reduce my bluffing and I'll try to get them to come back at me when I've got a real hand. When you start getting too much action again, then that's a good thing because you can come at them when you've got the really good hands and you can take advantage of getting that action. And then at some point when they start respecting me a little more again, I'll go back to bluffing. So you just kind of sense what kind of, whether you're getting action, whether your bluffs are being respected or whether they're being called, and you just adjust your play to your advantage. So you don't always do the same thing, or they'll get a good read on you, and then you won't be able to accomplish anything. The way you make money in this game of poker is, like in a lot of games, it's through misdirection. Misdirection causes the opponent to make a mistake. When they make a mistake and you're right there, you capitalize on it, and you capitalize on their mistake by getting them to make the wrong move at the wrong time. So when you're getting good action, you want to take advantage of it. And if I'm starting to get a lot of good action, sometimes what I'll do is I'll go into trapping mode, and if I'm pressing bets and I'm getting action, that's great. But if I'm not getting action, rather, I'll go into a trapping mode and let them start pushing me, especially if there's somebody at the table that's getting aggressive. I'd love to let them push on me and just push me in deeper and deeper. And I'll just sit and call those bets as they sit there and push me deeper and deeper. And as my hand improves, or if I know I've got a top hand, I love trapping people. Now, it's not something that works every time, and you got to be careful with it, or you can end up trapping yourself in cases where their hands actually improve, and you wish that you weren't in there. So now this is an interesting one here. I've kind of gotten myself into this. I've got two pair, except that I actually ended up sucking out here with a flush. I've actually been fairly lucky in this game, and in fact, almost extraordinarily lucky at certain points in time. But the more hands you play, the more of that stuff you'll pull. So I'm in a good position right now as chip leader because I can take extra risks. It doesn't matter if I lose. I could lose 1,000 chips right now and it wouldn't make that big of a difference. And everybody knows that. So unless they've got a really strong, solid hand and they're ready to go all in and double up, they're probably not going to come back at me too heavily. So we're down to what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. So we're definitely in the middle of that middle game where everybody's going to start struggling now at some stage against the blinds. The blinds are coming up 5,100. So now if we think about that 5,100, we've got an X factor of, let's see, 10x would be 1,500. So we've got a couple of 3 players really right in that area. In fact, the fellow on the left is down below 10x. So we can look for him to, if he's a good player, to start going all in here at some point. He's getting pretty close to that marginal area there, his X factor, where he needs to actually start going all in order to double up. And now he's not quite at that point. He's probably going to hold off a little bit longer, but if he gets some good hands, he probably will start jumping in there a little bit heavier. So you can see I'm not getting that many strong starting hands. 6-8 suited, certainly not one of my favorite hands. So I'm going to just, again, kind of hang out. No reason to engage at this stage. And, if I was one of these other fellows with 1,700, 1,300, 1,100, 2,000 chips, I probably still would be playing pretty much the same way. I wouldn't be engaging a lot right now in this middle game. I'd be playing fairly tight. I would be engaging when I have a good hand or when I feel like I'm in a position to make a bet and steal the blinds. The blinds are not up enough yet to where they're serious enough to where they're worth stealing, but they're getting there. We're at 225, the 150 plus 75. So X times 10 now is 2250. So you can see just a lollipop or whatever there on the left is in pretty big trouble. It's 630. So he's only at about 3x, And he's going down hard, and there's probably nothing to stop him. And he hasn't been going all in. He's sitting there folding. The blinds are just eating him alive. And he's sort of missed his opportunity earlier, as I was saying, before the blinds went up. He should have been going all in and driving people out of the pot and building his stack back up. As it is, he's down so low that he's almost so low that if he does go all in, people are just going to call him. And don't want to end up in that position, because it takes one of the biggest parts of your no limit hold'em power away from you, which is the ability to go all in and sort of scare people out of the pot, or at least make them call you only when they have a respectable hand, and steal the blinds and kind of rebuild your position. So just a pipe over there is got a big problem right now. As you can see, I'm just sitting here. It's kind of boring, folding all these crap start hands like 10-4. I don't play that good buddy hand much. I don't like the Jackson 5 hand either, even if it's suited. Some of those hands, you're just better off in general, unless you're in a blind. There's just no reason to be playing those hands. Like 7-5 offsuit. I'm in a blind. I wouldn't normally play this hand, a starting hand, but in this case, assuming he doesn't just fold, which he does, it's fine with me. I wouldn't normally play that starting hand. Jackson 4, I don't play that one much either. So you can see I'm just going to insta fold that one. No matter what happens on the field, I don't really care to be a part of it with that kind of starting hand. Playing kind of super tight at this point is the way that I like to hold on, and I don't like risking my chips when I don't have a good shot at winning, unless I have a really good shot at bluffing. And certain situations and conditions need to be right for me to want to play that game. Right now, no real reason for me to do that. In a good chip lead position, I'll take my shots when I get them, and I'll let these guys sit there and duke it out with each other and just bleed their chip stacks down until one or two of them emerge, which is what's going to end up happening. It's getting kind of boring, and that's the way this game goes if you're playing it carefully in the middle game here. 3-5 offsuit's not a great hand. As you can see, I didn't flop anything that's too exciting to go with it, so it's time to fold and just get on out of there. So at least he went all in. He's starting to do something right. The other thing you want to be doing is you want to be trying to guess what kind of hand these folks have based on the position they're in, what kind of player they are, and what's their X factor currently. And these guys both appear to have fairly weak hands. Now he's going to go all in, which is, I think, the right move, and yes, he pulls down that pot. So he's starting to build his stack back up because he's gone all in twice in a row. Isn't that what we said that the X Factor system tells us we should be doing right now when we're in his situation? See, his X is 225, so he's at about 5X, which is not great. He's still in a kind of a push fold type of mode where if he does get into a hand, he needs to go ahead and go all in if he's going to play a hand at all. And that's when you get your X factor in that 5 to 7 range, you end up needing to go into push fold right then and there and stop pussyfooting around, calling, and that kind of thing, because all it's going to do is get you in trouble. And what I want to do is I'm bringing up the calculator here, and I think I eventually figure out that it works better if I put it on the right and kind of behind the field of play. But calculating my X, look at that. So I'm sitting there at an X factor of around 27, which is incredibly good. So at an X factor above 20, in that 20 to 30 range, I'm in a really good position to do just about anything I want, as long as I don't risk more than about 10X, which would be about 2,000 chips. Okay? So, like I said, I'll eventually figure out where I want that calculator. I think it ends up on the right. But okay, ace-queen offsuit. Yeah, one of the better starting hands I've had in a while, and certainly looking forward to getting some action with a decent hand for a change, which is fine. It takes a lot of patience in this game to really do well. But when you get a good hand like this, you play it, and you bet it. Now, I would expect some action. Here we go. Got the all-in call that I was expecting. That's fantastic. Got some action. And, he pulls the king. That's fine. I made the right play with the ace-queen. And, this time I didn't happen to pull anything out of the hat. But so you see what he did by going all in like 3 or 4 times in a row there. He's back up. He was down in really serious shape, down at about, gosh, what was it, 600 or less? And by going all in, he's built his stack back up where he's just about to a 10x. So he's getting in much better condition than he had been. So I'm recalculating my X. It's about 22.9. So as you can see, I'm still in that 20 plus X range, which means I can continue to experiment around, gamble a little bit, as long as I don't go overboard and dramatically impact my X. Ace 2, at this stage, probably just hang it up and sit on the sideline here a little bit longer. So, what's going to happen here? Looks like the queens have it. Friend here on the left was an admirable job, really, of rebuilding his stack, but just to have it whacked, even though he's at 1300, so a bit precarious position at this point. So he's still in push-fold mode, and eventually he's either going to make it and take one of these guys out and double up, or he's going to get knocked out. Got some good action going here. A couple of players. Good sized pot. Both checking. It's like, why would you both check and bet 300? And it's like, I just don't know. It's like I would not have played it that way. I would have come out a lot stronger. Probably all in the X position the guy on the bottom has been in. And as it turns out, that was the right play, see? But, he bet it very weak, in my opinion, and he could have gotten himself into trouble. He should have gone all in. As it turns out, he did okay. Now, this Ace-5 suited is a hand I like. You've got a good nut flush draw, and you've got a low straight, which are both good hands. Of course, the Ace low kicker is a problem hand. This case, I'm going to go ahead and see the flop. So I've got the 5. I like that. My guess is, if I come back with something aggressive, I may just run him out of that pot. Nope. So he came right back over the top. That says he's got something really strong at this point. Now we got 2,700 in the pot, so I'm getting good odds to go ahead and call it. But, things are not looking too good at this point in terms of my hand. So what are we going to do? It's time to say, okay, buddy, I'm all in. I really love my hand that much. Are you ready to risk it all? So I'm bluffing right here. Let's see if bad bait takes the bait, or if he says, you know what, I'll live to fight another day, which is what he does. So that was sort of a semi-bluff in that I could have pulled an ace or a 5. Odds were not great, but I didn't feel that he had a strong enough hand to call that all-in bet. And being this chip leader, that's one of those times you're able to pull that out. Even if I had lost it, I would have been down to about 3,000 chips. So it was something I could afford to do that he couldn't afford to do. That's the way you use your stack and chip leader position when you've got a semi-bluff situation where you can improve your hand, but you can run somebody out of a pot by throwing your weight around. Okay, so we've got the long roller up here on the top, who is, you can see he's in trouble, and he just folded, which is probably a mistake. But his X factor is really bad. My X, on the other hand, is really good right now, and with an Ace-10, I'm going to be in that pot, and whoopee, here we go. So I've got him in there with me. I've got a really great heads-up hand against, I've got him pretty much dominated at this point. I love that ace. King 10, that's a hand that I like. I probably tend to overplay King 10 a little bit, but I like it when it's suited especially. I like it because I've got good chance for a straight draw and a flush draw that's fairly high. This 7 Jack is probably a hand to fold and just kind of get out of the way with, even though it's suited. Again, time to go back and just update my X factor. Nothing much has changed a lot, but I'm up to about 25. As you may notice, we've slipped into the money here. We made it all the way past the middle game, down into the end game. We're into the money. We've got 3 players. I've got about 2x the biggest stack there. And we've got the player on the left, Bad Bait, still with us. And so what we're going to do now is I go into kind of a mode here where we're in this end game. And what I want to do is just let these guys duke it out with each other. I'm the chip leader. There's no reason for me to be risking my stack with a hand like an 8-3 here. Okay, so I'll see a flop since I'm in the blind anyway. A big bet comes at me, and I'm probably just out of there. It's like no reason to be taking unnecessary risks, because in this game, anytime you enter a showdown, there's two of 3 things that can happen, and 2 of them are bad. A passing play in American football. When you pass the ball in football, it can get intercepted. It can be an incomplete pass, both of which are bad, or you can make a completion and or a touchdown, which is the one good thing that can come out of it. Well, in poker, it's kind of like a passing play. There are more things that can go wrong than good, and with a given hand. So, I didn't hit anything on the flop. At this point, 7-8, I've got an inside straight draw. Not a good chance. It's a 1 in 11 chance. The pot's only giving me at this point, like a 1 in 2 odds back. So it wasn't a statistically good play to make right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this small blind. One of the reasons I like to fold the small blind is it's number one, it's the small blind. You're not losing that much, and it's conservative play that makes it look like you're playing extra honest to these guys, which helps you, I think, because then when you do bet, they have a respect that you're coming into the pot, and they don't know if you're bluffing or if you're really betting with a hand. If I have a weak hand in the small blind, I'll typically just fold it. And if I'm on the dealer button and I don't have a strong hand at this point, again, I'll also fold there. I play fairly conservatively at this stage because my goal is to get heads up, and I'll just let these guys duke it out here, especially being in a chip leadership position. If I wasn't in a chip leader position, I would be playing pretty much the same way, fairly conservatively, and I would only engage when I thought I had a good chance of winning. But I would keep an eye on my X factor, and if it dropped too low, I'd start going into push-fold mode and start pushing them around. So now, Bad Bait should be in that mode. If you see, he's got, the blinds are at 300. Basically, at this point, anything you do is a heads-up type of play for the most part, because you're only going to get one other player to engage you, if anybody. The blinds are 300. The Bad Bait is at 1,500. So, he's at about 5x, which is part of the game that he should be in push fold. If he is going to do anything, he should be going all in here when he has any kind of a heads up hand whatsoever. Okay, so we got a raise. I'm out of there with that weak starting hand. Bad Bait should be going all in, and he does. Raises all in. Just the right play. Probably will get called. Okay. And unfortunately, he's not in a good position here. I think we're about to end up in a heads-up mode. Yep. So goodbye, Mr. Bad Bait. All right. So now we're the time we waited for and we were so patient for has finally arrived, and that's a heads-up game. So now things change. So I'm going to play quite a bit more aggressively here in this situation than I did before. However, I won't go crazy, at this point. You can see our stacks are, roughly even. I've got a little bit more, about 1,000 chips more. So I translate that conservative play to honest play. And so now I'm going to raise him, even though, you see, I don't have a hand worth being in with 8-3. Now he goes ahead and calls me. I happen to flop a 3, which is not a particularly great hand. But at this stage, I do at least have a pair, which is pretty good, when you're playing heads up. As it turns out, at 6, 7, 8, 9, I've got an open-ended draw here. I've got the 2 pair here on the river. At this stage, it's working out okay for me. Let's see what he does. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of call him out here all the way down, and worked out fine. So 8 king, pretty decent hand, heads up. Go ahead and call. Now I didn't catch anything. I'm going to go ahead and check. It shows weakness. Now he's also showing weakness. So it's time to go ahead and come back at him like that jack, helped me, I guess. In any event, as you can see, I'm bluffing. I'm playing more aggressively than I had been playing, and it's working to my advantage here in the heads-up mode. Queen Jack, a heads-up, is a decent hand, not fantastic. So as you can see, that's a hand I probably shouldn't have called. I generally don't like calling all-in bets, but in this case I have a big enough lead that I can afford to take a few risks. But I probably made a mistake by making that call, and as it turned out, you can see that I definitely did. But again, I play very aggressively, comparatively speaking, when I'm playing heads up, and you'll find that if you don't play aggressive enough heads up, you will oftentimes lose. Okay, so he's coming back at me as kind of an honest player, which means that he probably has a strong hand when he raises like that, because I haven't seen any indication of anything other than that. So I've got a reasonably good read on this fella, and he's got a good read on me. We're both in a pretty even keel here in terms of knowing what we're doing. And this stage, I'm just kind of like checking it down. This case, it looks like a pretty decent position to be in. I'm going to go ahead and see if my ace will hold up, and looks like it did. 6-8, not worth messing with. Just better to fold that small blind and send the message that I'm playing honestly to the other player, which will cause him to respect my play, a little bit more generally than he would otherwise. Again, not going to take undue risks. I'm in a lead position. Not going to give him a good shot at my stack. No reason to take those undue risks at this point. It's really easy to lose your stack quickly playing heads up if you play it wrong. Now, decent starting hand. I'll raise it up. Use my tight, honest image to pull that pawn down. Again, we're both playing fairly honestly, or we think we are. He thinks I'm playing honestly because I fold my small blind a lot, but that doesn't really mean I'm playing honestly. You'll notice I protect my big blind. So I keep getting this 8-3. I guess I'm starting to like that hand, or at least I'm needing to, the way this is going. Okay, he's going all in. I generally don't like to call an all-in bet heads up. Even if I had a stronger starting hand, I probably wouldn't call the all-in because he's got something really good as an honest player going all-in against me. Now, in this case, I'm going to underplay the jacks. I probably could have raised those, but I'm going to purposefully underplay them, trying to mislead him and see if he'll come back over the top of me here. And he didn't. That's all right. So now, got an overcard. I'm going to put out a feeler bet. He doesn't have the king, but he doesn't know that I don't. So, good move. Ace-6, I like that. Decent starting hand. See a flop. Okay, flop didn't help me, but I'm going to act like it did. I see that. This tight table image that I keep portraying by folding my small blind in the heads up mode is working to my advantage here. And I'm able to use that against this player who is apparently believing that I'm playing fairly honest with him. 6-9 suited, not a great starting hand, heads up. Willing to see a flop with it, but I'd rather fold it and at this stage and not take too many risks since I'm in a chip lead position. Queen 7, not gonna play that, heads up. Again, this is kind of monotonous, going back and forth, but what we're waiting for here is the right opportunity to get him to make a big move on me when I've got a really strong hand, which is how I would anticipate that I'll take him out. So here we go, King 10. I'm just saying, okay, I like my hand a little bit. Let's see what he's got. Okay, he's raising me back, so this could be it. And look at this. Sure enough, I flop a King 10, 2 pair. Now, if he goes all in, believe me, he'll get called. And it's my hope that he will go all in. And sure enough, well, no, he didn't. Okay, well, at this point, I'm not going to show my strength. I'm just going to call him, act like I'm still on a draw. And here he goes, all in. So see, I baited him. He went all in on me. It's great. He did have his king, but he's way out of the running at this point. So that's it. That's how I maneuvered my way through the middle game, into the money, and then all the way up to first place to win this tournament. It helped that I had a good, strong start. Having a strong start puts you in a good position, but at some point you're going to have to make your move, take a few risks in order to win. So thank you very much, and it's been fun walking through the game with you, and I hope to talk with you again soon. Take care. All right, congratulations. Well, we won it all. Well, don't act so surprised. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what's supposed to happen when we use the system and we play properly. We're supposed to end up in the money or the champion 8 to 9 times out of 10. And believe me, it feels good when you're the champion. Let's have a look at a quick recap at some things that we just learned. We talked about the different stages of winning sit-and-go tournaments and how to, in the early stages, to get started right, make sure that we understand what's going on at our table, get a feel for the table, the action, understand what types of players we're up against, and make sure we work into that middle game where we need to really buckle down and survive in order to thrive into the end game in the later stages where we need to make it into the money in order to get a shot at winning the whole thing by going heads up. And again, I sure love those heads up matches, and that's the most fun of all. Well, we also talked about the X Factor playbook and how as your factor of X changes, you need to switch your strategy and adjust your play based upon your X and what stage of the game that you're in. All right, well, I really appreciate everything that you've done. It's been a long haul getting through all this material together, and I hope you've really enjoyed this. I appreciate you coming to my website and spending the time with me here, and I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you win a lot of money at the tables at your next sit and go, and I also hope you take a moment out and visit my website, pokertester.com, and take a skills test. I designed it so that it would help you improve your game. You objectively answer those questions at pokertester.com. It really will help you take your skills beyond your current limits. I want to talk about a few other useful resources that are available to you to boost your game. RoyalFlushClub.com is the main website, and there you'll find my Secrets of Winning Sit-and-Go Tournaments product, as well as Poker Sidekick, the online expert system that we talked about. And you'll also find a number of other market-leading poker tools that are available on that website that you'll be able to find out more about. PokerTester.com, again, identify your skills gaps, very quickly study up, brush up, and fill those gaps. You'll be amazed at how much it'll help your game. And then if you're just looking for even more information, free articles and other resources for Texas Hold'em, then visit the BetterHold'em.com site. I want to talk just for a brief minute about the Secrets of Winning Sit-and-Go Tournaments ebook. This ebook has packed into it about a 1 to 2 hour study course on tournament strategy basics, understanding how to read and leverage and work with different player styles, how to recognize your own table image and what style you're currently perceived at the table, how to play position and which starting hands to play in which positions, and how to leverage position and starting hands properly. And of course, what we've talked about with the X factor and many other factors that you also need to think about in order to be extremely effective at tournament play, how to adjust to the different changing conditions at your table. The other thing is online tells. You know, there are tells online, and it has to do with timing, it has to do with using check boxes and not using check boxes, so it's important to really understand that, to use it against your opponents and make sure they're not using it against you. One of the toughest things for new players and even more experienced players at times is successful bluffing, knowing who to bluff, when not to, and of course you've got to be able to steal the blinds. If you can't steal successfully in that middle game, you'll never make it into the money. At least not very often unless you just get lucky. And then finally, how do you play heads up and win? You know, I've said several times that winning and playing heads up is my favorite part of the game. And it's because I've perfected a system for winning heads up more often than not. And I'll share all the rest of my secrets on winning heads up with you in this ebook. So check out the secrets of winning sit and go tournaments. Thousands of people from around the world are using this system today, and it's working fantastic for them. So it could be for you too. It's only $30, folks. So have a quick look at it. It's actually got a money back guarantee. After you've looked at it, if you're not happy with it, you can get your money back. No problem. Anyway, it'll help you. Other things that are coming soon. Well, you know, as you can probably tell, I stay pretty busy keeping this stuff rolling here. And in 2007, what we're going to do is see more of these videos, step-by-step instructional videos, what I call the Sit and Go Secrets video book edition. So we're going to take the ebook and all the critical lessons and situations in this ebook, and I'm going to create a set of instructional videos. Existing ebook customers will get a discount and an ability to upgrade to the video series. And you know, it's going to be available initially on streamed video. Eventually, it may be available on DVD, and I'd like to also make it available in a podcast format as well, so that you can access it from your iPod. So I know I like to do that, so I'm going to make that available for you folks as well. One other thing that's going on, we've talked about PokerTester.com. Well, the site's going through its final design, and we'll be having the official launch in Q1, and there'll be some prizes and other interesting things going on around that launch. If you sign up on one of my lists, go to PokerTester.com and become a member, you'll be sure to get in on that initial launch and have a shot at all the prizes and the fun that's going to happen around the PokerTester.com official site launch.